Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. We learned that Jeong-woo learned from a friend of friends about the flat that he could rent and had no idea that it was a part of Hanyul's house. Then we take off where episode 1 ended and Hanyul and Jeong-woo point at each other like they are both Spider-Man. Although it looked like Jeong-woo was living a fabulous life, he's under huge pressure because his father is a reputed doctor who is a candidate to become chairman of the American Heart Association. In a flashback, we see that Hanyul topped the midterm exams a little after joining Jeong-woo's school in Seoul, which started a childish competition between the two of them. At the time, even their classmates bet on who might top the class, and when they got the result, Jeong-woo ended up slumping to the floor, making everyone worry that he would fainted or worse died. In the present day, Hanyul tells her friend that she might be a little bit depressed and her friend gives the usual response. Hanyul doesn't make much of it and the subject switches to Jeong-woo. Hanyul is certain he is going to move out now that he knows that she lives there. However, the universe might have different plans for the two of them. On the other hand, Jeong-woo has nightmares regarding the surgery where the patient died and also a little bit of paranoia, thinking someone's come looking for him to cause harm. Jeong-woo visits his friend in the hospital and even bumps into Hanyul later to ask her for a favor to allow him to stay in her house. However, when he sees her, his competitive spirit returns and he can't help but be a mean-spirited child in front of her. They blabber about which one of them is smarter until Jeong-woo tells her that it's great that she is happy and has everything she ever wanted, but someday it will all fade away and she will end up at rock bottom just like him. I suppose it's a case of the grass is always greener on the other side because neither of them knows the extent to which the other is struggling. Later that day, Hanyul's senior abuses her again, throwing some papers at her face, leaving a cut. Immediately, she is also taken into surgery even though he is the one who has been called because he is a coward and the patient is the hospital chairman's daughter. Hanyul is an anesthesiologist and she is only there to watch. But watching her senior struggle to put the tubes in, she asks if she should do it. The senior tries 3 to 4 times and hits a vein every time, making many blemishes on her skin and blaming it all on her weak veins. However, when Hanyul does it, she gets it done in one go. In between, Hanyul visits her psychiatrist who tells her that her condition is quite bad since she gets heart palpitations and severe anxiety while working. He tells Hanyul that she desperately needs a break right now and compares her illness with breaking a bone, which somewhat drives the message home. By the time Hanyul returns to the hospital, her senior has told the chairman's wife that it was Hanyul who messed up with the pipes and left the patient with multiple blemishes on her hand because of her inexperience. In that moment, Hanyul apologizes and bows down to the patient. However, when they are alone, the senior tells her that she must go and beg on her knees for forgiveness. This is the limit for Hanyul and she finally decides to fight back. She speaks informally and tells the senior to go get on his knees himself if he needs to, physically kicking him in the shin, just like he used to do. Obviously, he is frustrated and tells her that he will make it so that she will never get to work in her field again if she walks away at that moment. Hanyul finally doesn't care and tells him that he can do whatever he likes, removing her coat and ID card and quitting the job. Hanyul, mother, overhears Hanyul's friend shouting at her for quitting her job. Hanyul rushes to speak to her and tells her what's really going on. But her mother's in a difficult spot mentally at that moment and tells Hanyul that she has no right to be mentally ill when she is raised her so well. Hanyul feels absolutely awful and runs out of the house while Jeong-woo overhears the whole conversation. Later at night, Hanyul's brother finds her medication hidden somewhere and tells their mother and uncle that it is depression and anxiety medication. In the last act of episode 2, Jeong-woo finds Hanyul in the street and asks her to grab a drink with him. She tells him she will join only if he is willing to have at least 3 bottles of soju. They are both desperate for some time off, so they head to the nearest barbecue spot, which is unfortunately where the school reunion is taking place. Jeong-woo gets insulted by one of the men, and his friends don't even bother defending him. Finally, Jeong-woo decides to leave and his friends follow him out. He clears the air saying he feels like the only person who thought they were friends. He tells them how he cleared their debt off first by selling his house, car, etc. and only then do they realize that he might not have actually killed someone on purpose. What kind of friends do you have? Please comment below. Haniel hears this whole conversation and ends up following him back home from a distance because he is obviously upset. They finally do end up getting those drinks and they even turn that into a competition. They both claim to be strong drinkers and end up getting very drunk trying to drink each other under the table. In their drunken states, they become honest with each other and also empathize with each other. Jeongwoo admits to overhearing Haniel's conversation and she is embarrassed because the depression is something that hurts her pride. Despite them both being in a slump life-wise, they seem to be quite happy with each other. Jeongwoo even tells Haniel that he is afraid of anyone in a black suit because he thinks some thugs will come to get him in his sleep. At the end of the episode, Haniel's mother finally admits that she was wrong and sends Haniel a message saying she doesn't care if her daughter's successful or not, but she wants to see her happy. She apologizes for not understanding the gravity of the situation and this opens the tap in Haniel's heart and she bursts into tears and bawls her eyes out in front of Jeongwoo. This causes a chain reaction and Jeongwoo begins to cry too, hugging her tight. As they weep, holding on to each other, through a voiceover, they admit how warming and comforting the whole experience is for them. It's interesting to see the parallels between Haniel and Jeongwoo's lives. In this episode, we see how their mothers have completely different reactions to everything that's happened to them. While in the first episode, we see how they have lived completely different lives and yet wanted the same thing. I can't wait to see what happens next in Dr. Slump. Till then, take care and bye-bye.